it's a lot about it's all about making that decision as well. And for me, it's not only, I don't want to, releasing energy and releasing these things are really important things. I don't get me wrong, but very often it's a matter of making that freaking decision in the moment. So, right, for example, right about the time that you're going to go out and do something that you're kind of like not supposed to do, or you are stopping yourself from doing something because somewhere somebody, some family member, some father, mother, whoever it was, said something to you, and now you're not living your life because of it. But that's the moment, that's the specific moment when you are going to have to make that decision of, I need to be free, so I'm going to do this instead, not going to go back to the old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's inside of you, and only you can make that choice. No one can choose your life for you. No one can think for you. You get to think the thoughts that are in your head, and there's definitely some programmed thoughts and like patterns that we got. So how do you become free from those old patterns and be brave, be courageous, go through those new doors and welcome in new thoughts, and praying for something that you don't know what's going to happen. Like there's a level of trust in there, a trust inside yourself that you wouldn't be asking for this if it wasn't meaningful for you, because it's inside of you and it's coming out, it's expressing itself through you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what sorry. Yeah.
No, that's all good. Yeah, no.
Like working with people, it's like I just bring it through, and it's kind of like I have no filters. I don't want to offend you, I seem to not have that so much anymore. And I will just say things to people. So I understand that as channeling. And then I trust that if this is what needs to be said, it's going to come out the way that it comes out for, the person that I'm sitting with or talking with, or even for myself, because some things I've said that has triggered like shame and guilt inside of me. And I'm like, oh my God, why would you say that, Cindy? And I'm like, oh, this is a moment that I can heal and transform an old pattern. So I take those opportunities when they come up, like, those triggers of emotions and stuff. And I grow, and I want to go through this stuff. I don't want to carry it around like baggage. Yeah.
Did you have like a specific also like process that maybe led you to trusting that more? Is it just a matter of like doing it and being and going just constantly through it and through it and through it?
Yeah, I guess there is that element of constantly going through it. But when I became aware that other people can hear my thoughts, when I owned my thoughts, much more responsible for what I was thinking and what I was feeling, because I could see how my thoughts created an energy around me that was felt by people, and then people would respond in kind to match my thoughts and my frequency. So if I was having critical thoughts about myself, I started giving off a critical energy, and then people would match that for me, and then I would experience reasons to be critical about myself. And when I really understood that, it was like my outside was mirroring what was going on inside of me, I definitely stood up to a lot more ownership. So when things would go chaotic around me, I'd be like, okay, Cindy, where are you in your thoughts? How are you in your feeling? Is this like, just become a master, like mastery of self in the whole journey of it. So it was really when my partner looked over at me that one day. We were driving and I was lost in my memories of the past. Like, oh man, I was living in the past in this like 5 minutes. And he was staring at me and he said, Cindy, if you want to go live in the past, go live in the past. And then I was like, oh my God, yeah, I've been thinking about the past. And I realized I wasn't being present in the moment. And so I owned it there, and it was not that he was looking into my thoughts. He just became aware of it and helped me to see that there's an ownership that comes with what you're thinking. Yeah,
I love that. Every thought counts. That's
so when you're
Yeah.
sitting with somebody, even like when you're sitting and talking with somebody, some of the thoughts that you're thinking may not be your own thoughts. You know, to govern what I can say and what I can't say, that person needs to hear that. I trust in that. There's a level of trust there, being present in the moment, that experience when they go through their transformations inside themselves and who they are being, I have to let that go. You know, there has to be some level of acceptance inside me, and as well as the person that's sitting with me, to want change.
One might say to surrender.
Oh, word of the month.
Yeah, I think it's almost a word for life.
There is a real, yeah. And then, true. Yeah. You want to go with the flow, right? And how can you find your flow? There's certain words that I find that are valuable to just keep bringing into my vocabulary for that period of time, just like that freedom of enslavement. But there is that surrendering to, what am I learning here in this moment? You just need to, you know, like whenever you're feeling some kind of chaotic or control element, there is like that governor of the ego that's saying like, yeah, don't look on the other side of this door because your answer's there and we don't want you to have your answer. So it's like, well, how do you get through that door? It's hard as sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. We want to keep you nice and safe in your hidey hole.
True. Right. So what was it saying?
Like,
We were talking about surrender.
Surrender.
And we were talking about how surrendering is so important because you can cage yourself so easily and try to control things. And then all of a sudden your life isn't going the way you wanted, even though you thought you wanted that, but there's actually a deeper and bigger thing for you.
Yeah, I look at whenever I catch myself trying to control things, because I definitely do it. So if it's being presented to myself like, oh, Cindy, you need to step back and look at why you feel the need to control this. I did learn years ago that whatever you are trying to control is actually what controls you. OCD type methods, you know, how your living room has to be a certain way. I feel that the need to have everything in that place is a controlling aspect that's like actually controlling you. Like you're not free because it has to be a certain way. So you're contained within that belief of it. So that's your cue to look at how can I let that go, that need to control my living room to look this certain way and be okay. Like, will I be safe in that? And that's where that surrender comes in. You now, if this is a curiosity for you and you want to explore it further, well, how do I surrender to this? How can I feel okay with my living room being out of balance from an old belief system that I had? So that's where I see control. It really doesn't do you any favors. There's just your answer is hiding behind why you need to control this. And then you can get more into a flow of it because your happiness is far bigger and greater on the other side of that door of control than you realize. But you don't know it's there because you haven't let go of your need to control how your living room is set up. So there's just more happiness, more energy waiting for you when you let those things go. It's just one of those keys of transformation, I guess.
Yeah. And I think anyone on a path of growth is like going to be resonating with what you're saying right now. And I think it's very exciting because then it's like the more doors you unlock, the more you're like, ooh, what's the next one? Ooh, wow, I'm really jealous about this. How can I look at that? It just gets fun, I think.
I think if you're able to look at transformation like that, you're winning. But unfortunately, I would say 99.9% aren't able to look at transformation like that. If you manage to do that, we want you on the show. We want you on the show.
Yeah.
We want you to come and tell us what you're doing, because you're doing it right.
Yeah, well, there has to be a desire in there to want to change, right? If you're comfortable, you don't really grow too much within your comforts. You know, you gotta like feel edgy sometimes, and you